This is historically one of the worst hurricane situations, Cat 4 hurricanes, to go that far inland. This is not a punishment from God. This is one of those things that happens. We happen to inhabit a wild planet. The last I checked, nobody's sending us any relief money. Nobody is looking to bail America out. We're the ones who do all of that. Leadership matters, and ideas have consequences. And when you get into a situation where it's as bad as it is, you want to have somebody at the helm not sunning themselves out on the beach there in Delaware as Joe Biden is. I have zero faith, zero trust in somebody like Kamala Harris who's a moron, quite honestly. I'm at a point now where I don't even apologetically disclaim anything. She's a moron. Hey guys, welcome to the Chad Prather Show. Let's do a little checkup. We've been doing this thing for a long time. I've got a lot of guests on here. We've taken a new direction of the show this year. Let's do a little checkup. I appreciate you guys. I'm really thankful for you, and I want to address those of you who are out. Maybe you never watch the show. You listen to the show. You're driving a truck. You're, over the road, you're long distances, you're out and about, or you're on a job site somewhere, you got your ear pods in, and you, for some reason, you demented soul, you decided to tune in to the sound of my voice. Well, first of all, thank you for that. I'm thankful for you. You're the reason that this podcast, this show, in whatever iteration it's been in, has been in existence for 10 years. And I am often with people at live events, live shows, who come up to me and tell me about listening to this program and what it means to them and what it's done in their life. And I can't begin to tell you how humbling that is to me, that you can use your voice and platform and truly make a difference in other people's lives. Well, I hope that happens by listening to this show, but I want you to know that you've changed my life. I would love to tell you that I'm some rich and famous guy out there who's made tons and tons and tons of money off of just talking for a living. I've been blessed, I will tell you that. But, I'm still a blue-collar guy. And my heart right now is really going out to the people who are struggling. And those people who tend to tune into what I'm doing, you're the blessing to me. So you've changed my life because you didn't have to listen to this show. You didn't have to be a part of this program, but you've chosen to do it. And you're a blessing to me. You buy tickets, you come to live shows, you buy my music, you stream my music, you tell other people about me. I'm often blown away, again, on this theme of the people that I meet out on the road, of people who say, we've never heard of you, but our friends told us about you. And that, to me, is just incredible, because it's one thing for you to like me. It's another thing for another generation of people or a connection that you have, that you're turning them on to this show or to what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, quite honestly. Scheider, sitting over here at the production table, he'll tell you, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a clue. But I'm awfully humbled right now to be able to do this. We did the show on Podcast One. We moved it over to Blaze. Now we've moved it here into the cave. Who knows what iteration this thing's going to take on? It's a constant creative process. But more than anything, it would not exist without you. And so I want to go over here, read a couple of the recent reviews that people have given. Someone said, keep the devil under your feet, Chad, as a 5-star rating. Chad, you're doing great work, buddy. True Patriot, great show, very inspiring. Let's see, great podcast, great live show. But then there's some good insight. You guys say, I took a break from the show for a while, but I'm loving the direction you're taking. Preach on, loving the renewed Chad. Another good one, sir. I knew I liked you for a good reason. The show on anger was every single thing I needed someone to say. Guess I needed to reread Ephesians and see what I missed. Thanks, Chad. As always, I'll be listening, bud. Thank you. God bless you for your honesty. May he guide you on your path. I hope you keep some of the current events commentary in your show. It's hard to do. It's hard to do that whenever we tape and it comes out a few days later. But I want to talk to you about a current event today, and that's this Hurricane Helene. Now, I was down in Florida. I was in the Panhandle a couple of weeks ago, and we knew that a hurricane was coming up through the Gulf. I thought it was going to hit into the Panhandle of Florida more severely than it did. This is historically one of the worst hurricane situations, Cat 4 hurricanes, to go that far inland. I can remember growing up in the central Savannah River area, which is Augusta, Georgia, and that area when Hurricane Hugo hit, and we thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. The damage was effective. It was powerful, but it was not what we thought it was going to be in terms of catastrophe. Hurricane Helene is one I didn't think was going to be as powerful by the time it made landfall, but it's severely affected the mid and deep south of the United States: Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. My mother, my brothers, their families, all of them in the Augusta area. I finally heard from my mother today at the time of this taping, after 5 days of not being able to get in touch with her. It's going to be weeks before they are going to get a lot of water in, and food sources, food supply, gasoline for engines is non-existent right now. This is the type of thing that I have been telling people about for so many years in terms of being prepared, being ready, making sure that you have fuel, making sure that you have a chainsaw, making sure that you have a generator of some form, the ability to be self-sufficient for a little while, making sure that you have water on hand, food on hand. It's bad. Down there in the woods where I grew up, so many trees fell that my brother literally had to cut their way out of that. The road crews, the linemen, the folks out there, these blue-collar folks, as I alluded to earlier, these folks out there who are working overtime, sleepless nights, trying to get these damaged and affected areas functional once again. I want to tell you, we're all about to feel the effects of this, because, one, not only are these towns and cities absolutely buried in water and debris. Asheville, North Carolina is non-existent at this point. One of the most beautiful towns in America is virtually non-existent. It's been flooded, completely underwater, destroyed. They just asked Joe Biden in a press conference yesterday about more funds for this crisis, and he said, we're out. We're out. Now, they just promised another $8 billion to Volodymyr Zelensky on his recent state visit. We're sending billion after billion of dollars to these other countries, and we're not putting America first. This disturbs me. It disturbs me on the level of pissing me off. Now, I'm not a person who believes in government dependence and government programs that people live off of. And then there's going to be a lot of people out there who accuse us of saying, oh, so now you're socialists, now you believe in government programs. No, we have a government for a purpose. That purpose of the government is to supply people in a time of need. It's a time to protect people. This is both foreign and domestic, folks. Let me tell you something. A Cat 4 hurricane is an enemy of the people, especially when it on a bomb blast type impact. It wipes out towns and cities. It erases lives. It deletes things from the planet. This is where the government does step in to help aid its citizens, but we have not put America first. We've believed that American citizens are second-class citizens. We've believed that American exceptionalism is a bad word. There are so many people out there who are spewing vitriolic hate that is on the level of bullshit I can't imagine, of saying this is a punishment on the South of the United States because of slavery. That level of racist rhetoric has no place in decent or critical thinking society. There's no one with common sense who's honest to God going to say those types of things, but yet here we are in the 21st century with an internet that tells us that people are, yes, actually that freaking stupid. Hey guys, I guarantee you that your medicine cabinet is exactly like mine. It is crammed full of a bunch of stuff that just doesn't work. You aren't sleeping. You still hurt, you're stressed out, and that's exactly the way it was for me. So I cleared out my medicine cabinet and I reset my health with CBD. Yep, I said it. CBD from CBDistillery. It's been a changer for me, man. CBDistillery's targeted formulations, they're made from the highest quality, clean ingredients, no fluff, no fillers, just pure, effective CBD solutions designed to help support your health. In 2 non-clinical surveys, 81% of customers experienced more calm, 80% and said CBD helped with pain after physical activity, and an impressive 90% said they slept better with CBD. Trust me, it works. If you struggle with a health concern and you have not found relief, make the change like I did to CBDistillery. And with over 2 million customers and a solid 100% money-back guarantee, CBDistillery is the source to trust. I've got a 20% discount to get you started. Go over to CBDistillery.com. Use code CHAD. I spell it Chad. Get 20% off. That's CBDistillery.com. Code Chad. CBDistillery.com. This is not a punishment from God. This is not. This is one of those things that happens. We happen to inhabit a wild planet, and sometimes that planet gets out of control. Now, the conspiracy theorist in me, I was floating it past Scheider a little while ago. If you want to get into the HAARP stuff, HAARP, I'll let you go look all that stuff up, and the antennas in Alaska and the control of weather. If you want to push that conspiracy theory, and we certainly can talk about it, do they have the ability to control the weather? Yeah, to some degree. We know that cloud seeding and the like, those types of things are a reality. There are those who would go so far as to say that they're creating tornadoes and hurricanes and manufactured climate change in order to get everybody on board with that multi-billion-dollar industry, trillion-dollar industry. Can they control that? To what degree? I don't know. Can they? To some degree? Yes, I truly believe they can. Is Hurricane Helene a product of them manufacturing weather? The logical side of me says no. But there's also the timing aspect that makes me think, dadgum, we're just a few days out from a major, monumental election. There are a lot of conservatives in the mid and deep South, particularly Florida and Tennessee and some other places that we could name off. But this severely limits transportation, their ability to get to the polls. And we're talking about this is going to last for weeks. The ability to travel, the ability to get power, the ability to get fuel, all of these things, these are going to have week-long consequences. We've already seen at the time of this taping, there's been at least 50 casualties, loss of life. That is expected to rise. This is a tragic, tragic event. And while the results of which were coming out and the revelation was coming out of how bad this storm hit the southern United States, Kamala was off cavorting with California elites and getting a lot of money donated to her presidential campaign, and the person who could actually do something about it, the president of the United States, Joe Biden, was sunning once again on Rehoboth Beach there in Delaware. I mean, damn, that guy loves the beach. They asked him about it in a press conference. Why was he not there in command, taking control of the situation? He says he was on the phone for 2 hours. Talking on the phone while on vacation at the beach is not what we're looking for in a commander-in-chief. Joe, you know this. You should know this. I don't actually know what Joe knows at this point. I'm not sure Joe knows his name or what's going on. This is not the actions of leadership. This is not the type of thing that we look at in our country and say, okay, we have someone who's in control of a crisis. When you say there's no more federal funding, when you say there's no more ability to help the people of America after sending billions upon billions of dollars to Ukraine or to Israel or to these different places around the country, the last I checked, nobody's sending us any relief money. Nobody is looking to bail America out. We're the ones who do all of that. This is a bad situation, folks. This is the time. This is one of the reasons why we pay taxes. This is why we have emergency relief funds. This is why we have those rainy days. I mean, we should have money that's available to the American people to help get around this crisis. That is not a handout. That is a hand up. And we're not asking people to stabilize the southern region of the United States forever and ever. Amen. We're saying this is a there. There's nothing there. And that bugs me. That pisses me off. It should piss you off too. And you know what's going to happen? It's going to happen just like it typically happens, just like when Hurricane Harvey hit Texas. It's going to take the citizens of those surrounding areas who are going to come together and work hard to bail their neighbors out. And this is going to be one of those things which, regardless of what was intended for evil, and whether you believe in weather phenomena being changed at the hands of humans or not, the fact of the matter remains they are going to milk this and utilize it to hinder conservatives from getting to the ballot box. I'm sorry, it's going to mess up early voting. It's going to mess up, in some cases, mail-in voting, which I think could be a good thing. But people actually, their ability to get to, it's going to mess up absentee voting, that's for sure. I mean, you take my mother who doesn't leave her home. I mean, she's in a situation where she doesn't just get out and run to the ballot box, doesn't run to the polling place. These are things that are going to affect us, and they're going to milk that. They're going to utilize that. So when we have as we have the opportunity to help our friends and neighbors and family in the Deep South, I want us to do that. This is not something, because depending on when this episode comes out, and I wish it could come out the day I'm taping this, I really do. When this comes out, I want you to know that the crisis is still happening, because you don't just rebuild towns and cities and homes. You don't do that. I talked to my sister-in-law on the phone yesterday, and she said that she and my brother were able to get out and drive a couple of miles and just take a look at things. They were looking for charcoal and gasoline, couldn't find either one of them. And she said every other house has a tree that's fallen through it. My own mother's house has trees on it. It's a bad situation. So this crisis is going to continue going on. We're working on our end to do certain things to try to raise funds, to put it in the right hands, to see how we can help as an individual. We're putting together a few benefits. The proceeds of my sales at prathertees.com for a period of time, 100% of those proceeds has been going to help. We're working with both Samaritan's Purse, Mercury One. They have boots on the ground. Our friends at TJ Morris with Refuge Medical and Bear Independent, those guys have recon boots on the ground. They're checking things out, working in Tennessee, trying to see how they can help. There's a lot of folks out there. I've seen the video of the linemen and the trucks, the just lined up for mile after mile, working to get into those areas and try to do something. So this is where we are, folks. I want you to be prepared. Now, when I said earlier that it's going to impact all of us, it is, because I want you to think about the shipping ports that are around the eastern seaboard and the southeast into the Gulf. A lot of those impacted. So you're about to start seeing products that are going to be moved via train, not so much by airplane and over-the-road transit. You're going to start seeing things happen by train. Those deliveries are going to slow down, I would suspect. If you have access to the essentials and you can go get them, I don't care if you're living in the central part of the United States, you may be impacted by the imports and shipping delays that could happen here in the days ahead. So I want you to go get your water, get your food, get your essentials. These are the things you should already have on hand. Get your essential medicines, get the things that you need, because we could see some shortages happen right as we get up to voting day, election day. So I want you to take care of yourself, keep yourself healthy, keep yourself safe, but go do it. Go do it. If you have not prepared yourself so far, now's the time. Get some things that you can handle a little bit of slowdown or stoppage in the shipment of goods. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm pontificating here, but I don't think that it's very far off to assume that all of us could be touched with the problems that are going to come off of this. Hey, I just got off the phone with my buddy Trey over at United Patriot Coin. They got something new going on that I think is pretty cool. A lot of you have seen that one of their gold and silver Patriot packs, I've promoted them for a long time on my social media. Their packs come with those 8 individual coins in the bars at a low price point, so they're a great way to start your precious metal stack. It's a great way to get into this. It's a fun hobby, but it's also a valuable hobby, and it'll also add some barter power to your bug out bags. So like everything else these days, man, the Patriot packs, they're evolving. And now the 1 ounce silver rounds included in the bags can actually be snapped apart into the 4 separate sections. I've shown you that before. It's really cool how that happens and how that works. It's like having a $20 bill that you can tear apart and pay for things in increments of $5, except it's made of pure investment quality silver. Now, with the crazy election season that's going on, multiple fronts of wars, and inflation that just doesn't seem like it's going to go away anytime soon, the demand for gold and silver is obviously on the rise. That's why the Patriot Pack has become popular as a way for people to stockpile gold and silver so their buying power is protected no matter what comes our way. And man, stuff is coming our way. Each pack includes 8 pieces of small denomination silver and gold, so you'll always be prepared. And with that snap-apart silver, it's even better, man. It's really cool. So if you use promo code CHAD10, pay attention to what I said, CHAD10 at checkout, you're going to get 10% off your first Patriot Pack. It's peace of mind that's worth the effort. Visit the website, UnitedPatriotCoin.com, or you can order by phone. You call them 844-202-7834. Be one of the first people to get the new Patriot Pack with the snap-apart silver ounces. UnitedPatriotCoin.com. Use promo code CHAD10. Now, we don't have leadership at the helm. We don't have an administration at this point in time that is going to do anything for the American citizen. The folks in the South, they're not considered elite. They're just not. They're not considered California or New York. These are not the people that are going to get the handouts, or even the help, I should say, the assistance that they should be getting from our government. I know that Kamala Harris has come out and say that she's keeping a close eye on everything. Well, hell, Kamala, I'm keeping a close eye on everything as well. The close eyes aren't what we need. We need people actually there taking care of people. It's a bad situation, and I want us to work together, hand in hand, find ways that we can get involved. And no, I don't want dignitaries, and I don't want the president. I don't want the vice president. I don't want these people traveling to these areas, because the last thing they need is a traffic jam while there's already a traffic jam of trying to take care of people. And now you've got security shutdowns and all those things. Let's don't worry about all those things. Let's just see how we can come together and work together to get resources that we need to the people who are in need. It's a bad situation. It's a bad situation, folks. So here we are. Here we are, Scheider, living it up in Texas. And we sort of watch helplessly, don't we? When things like this happen. But my heart goes out to these people. I am truly heartbroken over the things. I mean, just the landscape has been erased in some places. And you realize how finite we are. You realize that no one voted for this. It doesn't matter who you argued with on social media. All your political signs, they blew away in the storm. It breaks it down to the visceral parts of just being a human being. And as a human being, we have some brotherhood, some solidarity with one another, to be neighbors and to be neighborly. And I've already heard reports of illegals who are looting. And of course, again, it's not about that, but because a lot of times American citizens will loot. There's certainly an element of that. But I've heard of arrests that are happening in the South where people are, illegals are looting, illegals are being arrested for that. I don't want to get into all that stuff. It's bad. It's just bad. I could tell you this. There are those out there who have a go and get what you can as you can get it mentality, because that's the country and culture they come from. They're in our country. They've come across our open borders. And at this stage in the game, well, one thing's for sure, they're going to revert back when the government cheese dries up. And in a crisis like this, when the government cheese dries up, they're going to go out and get the resources they can get, even if it means looting and stealing. I've already heard reports of people fighting one another. I've heard, it's wild, the stuff that's happening when you look at the southern part of the United States. Wild stuff is going on. So I want everybody to be careful out there. But wherever you are in the United States, stock up on the things you need. What happened there can happen to you just as quickly, just as easily, and unexpectedly. No one thought. I mean, Augusta, Georgia, where I grew up, the eye of the hurricane went just 50 miles from where my mother is, where I grew up. They were experiencing 85 to 100 mile an hour winds. My sister-in-law told me it was like a freight train that you could hear sustained for almost 2 hours as the storm was passing through. So we're fortunate in a lot of ways, but there's so many things that are going on. So this is why leadership matters, folks. This is why this election matters. This is why preparation matters. Having the right people who have their, again, my hat's off to Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, who has consistently prepared his people and his state for storms that are coming. These are the type of things that leadership matters, and ideas have consequences. And when you get into a situation where it's as bad as it is, you want to have somebody at the helm not sunning themselves out on the beach there in Delaware as Joe Biden is. I have zero faith, zero trust in somebody like Kamala Harris, who's a moron, quite honestly. I'm at a point now where I don't even apologetically disclaim anything. She's a moron. And here we are. So, guys, we've got to do the right thing here, put the right people in place. Or what's going to happen if there's a cyber attack or an EMP attack or more natural disasters that happen, or God forbid a dirty bomb or a nuclear bomb or something like that goes off in our country? You've got to have people at the helm who can take control and do the right things. You got to have that. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if you know this or not, Scheider, kind of changing gears here, talking about Kamala being a moron, and she is. It's amazing to me that Kamala Harris, who is the Vice President of the United States and who is also the Democrat candidate for president, she's never held a job in the private sector in which she had her own employees. She was worked for the district attorney. She was a prosecutor in San Francisco. Then she was the DA. Then she was the attorney general in California. Then she became the senator from California. And she did not pass the bar exam on her first try when 86% of her classmates indeed did do that. She passed it on the second try. But she never had her own employees that were not issued by government jobs. When she became senator, she was a part of 164 different bills. Not a single one of them ever passed, which should tell you a little bit about her track record. Her turnover rate in her staff as senator and as vice president has been 92%. No one wants to work for her. I won't use the word that we could call her, but I think that's exactly what they call her. She's not good in terms of localized leadership as far as what she has in her own office. What makes you think she's going to be good handling a cabinet or a Congress or a Senate or trying to relate to world leaders? They don't care about her joy. They don't care if she came from a middle-class family. They don't care if her neighbor's lawn was manicured. They don't care about any of those things that she's saying. They don't care about her exuberance and good feelings and being able to come together and just feel good about everything. We just had a general, one of our military chiefs who just came out the other day and said that he believes because she comes from an interracial marriage that it's going to be good not only for our country, but because it's going to affect our international policy as well. And people are going to be much more beholden to her because she comes from the expression of interracial marriage. There's a word for that from the ancient Latin. I think it translates to bullshit. No one cares. Vladimir Putin does not care if she is from an interracial marriage. They don't care if her Jamaican father left when she was 5 years old. They don't care about her middle-class upbringing. They don't care about her grandmother walking through the villages in India with a bullhorn talking about abortion. Kamala actually did promote that idea, said that her grandmother would walk through the villages with a bullhorn promoting women's reproductive rights. They really come up with this stuff. I mean, those are the things she's saying out there. But Vladimir Putin doesn't care about that. He doesn't care if she was raised by an Indian mother, that she took her to India every year, that he doesn't care that there are villages in India that are praying for her because as an Indian American, they think she represents them. They don't care when she goes into her black scent. They don't care when she starts talking like a Cubano. They don't care whenever she gets Southern or starts to get street. They don't care. They don't care about stuff like that. She has no answers. She literally did an Oprah interview, which was no interview at all. It was with several virtual people on screens. It kind of reminded me of the COVID audiences. It was weird seeing all those faces on screens. She could not answer the couple who asked her about how she's going to help the economy as it impacts middle-class families. Again, she got off into her feelings of joy rhetoric and left the question unanswered. But it was later revealed that in that Oprah interview, she was utilizing a teleprompter. Even with a teleprompter, she could not offer anything that was worthwhile to the American people in terms of policy or something that would work in their behalf. Folks, let's say a crisis happens. This is not the person that you want. I need a person of action. I want someone who doesn't need a teleprompter, who's being asked softball questions by Stephanie Rule or Dana Bash or Oprah Winfrey. I want someone who is deliberate and methodical, who is strategic, who has thought these things out, and even in the moment of crisis knows how to deal with them. I mean, you take Donald Trump, love him, hate him, doesn't matter. You can absolutely despise him, but you have to appreciate his calm, collected, cool under pressure. With 91 indictments, he's unfazed. The man gets a felony handed down to him and still raises $500 million within 3 days after the ruling. This is a guy who gets stuff done in spite of your opinion about him. And I know you want to get into your pearl clutching about, he says he grabs women by their pooty poo. Let me explain something to you. He was a billionaire who was the person of influence when they went to Studio 54 and put on their leather skirts and walked past the doorman and went to the bottle service behind the velvet rope. They fully expected to have their pooty poo grabbed by a billionaire that night. And don't even get me started when you turn 50 Shades of Grey into a multi-billion-dollar industry about a billionaire who was well-known and influential, who grabbed their pooty poos whenever he wanted to, and by the third movie, she was married to him because she liked that pooty poo grabbing so damn much. So don't get me started on this, especially when Donald Trump said, when you're rich and you're famous, they let you do it. That's exactly right, they do. And don't act like you're some virtuous, high and mighty, pious person when you've defended the likes of Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton. Or I had someone the other day who said, regarding Joe Biden's, the accusation of him when he was a senator, when he accosted Tara Reid and did what he did. And there were people who said, you know what, I fully believe he did those things, but I'm going to support him anyway. Well, you're a hypocrite. You are a hypocrite if those are the types of things you're going to say about Donald Trump. And you're going to, he's this and he's that. Listen, he is the man in the arena right now. Hate him, despise him, tolerate him, whatever you want to do. At the end of the day, as my friend Alex Kochman has said, it's a vote, not a Valentine. We're not voting for a pastor. We're not voting for a missionary or an apostle. We're not voting for the preacher. We're not voting for a husband. We're voting for someone who can get things done. I don't like everything that Donald Trump says or does. I don't like all of his policy. But I have to believe it's better than Marxism. I have to believe it's better than World War III. I have to believe that Donald Trump at least knows how to function in chaos and a crisis. And I have to believe that if Donald Trump were in office, it's going to give me much more freedom to express my First Amendment rights, my Second Amendment rights, my ability to protect myself, remain an individual, keep more of my money, help the economy. I have to believe that it's going to keep me free to express my faith, and I'm going to have much more liberty in that arena than I will someone who wants to control what I say and control social media and throttle me back and do government mandatory buyback programs of firearms and AR-15s. I have to believe that Donald Trump, with all of his pooty-poo grabbing, all of his crazy mean tweets is still going to be better for me than somebody who wants to control the education system or control the Supreme Court by packing it with radical justices. And that's one of the things I'll tell you that they're not asking Kamala Harris about. They're not asking her ever. None of these, Dana Bash, Oprah Winfrey, Stephanie Rule, and those are literally the only 3 interviews that have been done at this stage. And the one with Dana Bash was done with a chaperone. Tim Walz was there with her. She has avoided the hard questions, and no one has asked her about packing the Supreme Court. She fully intends to court pack. That's the only way that they can push their radical Marxist agenda. It's the only way the progressives are going to get what they're wanting to do across. That is if they pack the Supreme Court with radical justices. No one's asking her about that. At what point in time are we going to stop with the BS about Donald Trump endorsing Project 2025, which is garbage? No one is endorsing Project 2025. That is a pile of contributions from about 400 different people that was put together by the Heritage Foundation. Mickey Edwards, longtime legislator from Oklahoma, who is a Republican. He's also a trustee with the Heritage Foundation, has now endorsed Kamala Harris for president. So that ought to tell you everything you need to know about the validity of a Project 2025 and those who might be behind it. Donald Trump has not endorsed Project 2025, but they're going to keep lying to you with impunity, with a straight face, with zero conscience, and a seared, stone-hardened heart. They're going to keep pushing this garbage at you and telling you that this is the truth, and because you heard a soundbite, you're going to choose to believe it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. We live in a TikTok generation where the mob watches a video that I do. They have no idea that Kamala has used her black voice, that she's used her street voice, her southern voice, that she's used her Hispanic voice. She's launching, it depends on what her audience is, she's launching a new accent every single day. I mean, this girl literally has to get suited up in order to go pander to the electorate. And people don't even know she's doing that. You know why? Because they're not paying attention. They're not listening. Get the people around you educated and engaged, folks. We're living in the wildest times in American history. This is stuff, there's so many things that have happened historically, but guess what? Now we have the internet. Now we have X. Now we have social media. Now we have the ability to almost get information at the speed of thought, at the speed of type. Like we could put something in there and you can immediately get the stories, and now you have to decipher through the news to see what the news is telling you there's a lie. You're reading it, you're listening to the media. You have to cipher through this stuff and see what's the lie and what's the truth. You shouldn't have to do that, but yet here we are. Here we are, folks. Information is bombarding us 24/7 from multiple sources at all times. Here you are listening to this show, taking my opinion for what it's worth, and trying to process through that. I've never asked people to take what I'm saying and just take it at face value. Research it. I reserve the right to be wrong. Every now and then I'm going to say some things that upon further examination, I'll be like, okay, I was a little off on that. But again, this is what we do here. We speculate, we look at things. There's no such thing as a vacuum in nature. And so our minds and our imaginations, our opinions, our thoughts, our questions, they rush to fill that vacuum. And that's where the conspiracies and the opinions and the thoughts and the ideas come from. We take those things and we decipher them and we run them through the mental strainer, if you will, filter them out and see what comes through. And those are the things that we have to act on. But educate yourselves. Educate yourselves, because we are in dire times, folks. And I promise you, what was it Tim Walz said last week when he said, we can't afford 4 more years of this? Well, those words have bitten him in the ass since the last 4 years have been the Biden administration. Joe Biden just came out last week and said that he gave Kamala Harris all the authority to enact all of his policies. Anything that he was doing, he delegated to her as well. She had, basically what he said was, she had just as much authority as he did as president of the United States. So these day one promises that Kamala is pushing, if I'm elected president on day one, I'll do all of this. You know, the Build Back Better thing kind of sucks because they didn't build anything back better. They didn't build anything. They tore a lot of things down. They were destructive. And so To say on day one, we're going to enact policies that you've now had almost 4 years, 3.5 years to enact, and you haven't done it, and say, well, she was the vice president. No, upon Joe's own admission, she's had just as much delegated authority from himself. She's had just as much delegated authority to enact those policies, and she hasn't done it. She hasn't done it. What makes you think if you give her ultimate power, she's going to do it? I'm telling you, this woman comes from a corrupt place. She comes from a corrupt place with a corrupt agenda based on a corrupt narrative, capital N narrative, and they are going to push this thing through. Everything from the proliferation of abortion and the murder of unborn babies in the name and for the sake of convenience. You want to talk about federal funding and where it's about to go. These folks out there, these white suburban middle-class women out there who refuse to vote for pooty-poo grabbing Trump, these folks out there are so dead set on having the right and creative means to kill their own unborn children. It's ridiculous that this is the platform that progressive liberal leftism has chosen to make the cornerstone of everything they're doing. They've built a platform off of murder, and you've bought it hook, line, and sinker, and you're running with it. That's disgusting that this is the country we're living in, that half of the country is literally voting on the basis of their ability to murder their unborn babies. You take that all the way to the court packing, as I alluded to earlier. You take it to the ability to shut you down, to be able to, what was it Hillary Clinton said? Hillary Clinton said that the MAGA Republicans, the Trump Republicans, that those people need to be reprogrammed. I don't think, I mean, listen, it's out there. We're all pretty much on board out there of being supportive of Donald Trump. Maybe they do start rounding people up and putting them in camps. Maybe they do start attempting to put people in the gulag, if you will, so they can reprogram. They usually say the quiet parts out loud. So what's it going to be, folks? And you say, well, that would never happen. Well, why in the name of all that's holy would you even give it an opportunity to come into existence? Now, that's not going to happen. If Donald Trump is president, you say he's going to be a dictator. He already had the opportunity to do that, and he did not do that his first 4 years. He did not do that, okay? You said, but he said on day one, he tongue-in-cheek with Sean Hannity made a joking statement about the things he would push through on day one. And he said, yeah, I'll be a dictator today, just for one day, just for one day. He was joking with that. If you don't have a brain bigger than a mouse, then I don't expect you to process it, but anybody with common sense knows. He's already had 4 years. He was not a dictator. He was not a dictator. In the meantime, since he's left office, our country has absolutely been overrun with illegals. Look at Ohio, the train spill, the toxic spillage that was there. There was no response on the part of the Biden administration. Look at the toxic explosion from the chemical plant in Conyers, Georgia that happened at the time of this taping just yesterday. No response there. Look at the Maui fires. No response there. Look at the various natural disasters that have happened. Look at Hurricane Helene at this stage. No response there. Folks, is that truly who you want at the helm? Is that what you want? A non-responding, power-hungry, lifetime political, career political person who is a puppet to powers that you don't even know who they are, where the money's coming from, or the ones who are pulling the strings. Do you want that? Do you really, truly want that? I don't think you do. I don't think that's what you want. I want to speak specifically to the black community. Can you tell me one thing that Barack Obama or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris have done for the black community in their tenure, in their time? Barack Obama didn't do anything for the black community. He did nothing. Joe Biden's done nothing for the black community. He's insulted you. But again, I'm not sure if you were even paying attention at the times when his racist tropes have come out of his mouth. I mean, what else would you expect from a guy who eulogized the grand cyclops of the KKK, Robert Byrd, as the finest man he ever knew, or saying a vote for Trump means you ain't black? Come on, man. or to say racial jungles, or to refer to clean, articulate black guys. I mean, that's the first of his kind. Isn't that right? Isn't that what he said about Barack Obama? Or he's going to put y'all back in chains. This type of rhetoric that has just been brushed over and over again, folks. They've done nothing for the black community. In fact, they've displaced the black community with the illegal community that's coming in. Government funding. Look again at this Hurricane Helene thing. When he says we're all out of funds, when we're out of funds, but yet they just promised $8 billion more to Volodymyr Zelensky and the war efforts in Ukraine. $8 billion earmarked for Ukraine, and to say we're out of money. What do you think they're going to say to the black community when the Hispanic, or I should say when the illegal community begin, or what are they going to say to the black or the Hispanic American community when the illegal community begins to take over and move in on their stuff? Because let's face it, those are going to be the easiest spots for them to come in, migrate into, and to take over. What do you think the federal government is going to say to you, those of you who have, in many cases, many people, black, white, brown, I don't care what color you are, a lot of people have needed the government's assistance. That's going to be gone. Your lifestyle is about to be upended completely because of an open border federal policy that was enacted on the part of the Joe Biden administration. Just going to continue into the Harris administration. Just the other day, I posted on my social media where they now have a law enforcement officer, a female who is an illegal person who is here, not a U.S. citizen. They've now made her a police officer. So literally someone who is in this country illegally, interpreting and enforcing the laws over United States legal citizens. This is something out of a Far Side cartoon. This is not something, this is The Simpsons, people. This is South Park at this point. This is not to be taken seriously. This is a circus, but this is the direction we're going. This is where we're heading. Whenever you have Venezuelan gangs that are in these major cities. I just heard a report in Dallas, Texas. A woman went into her garage. She was attacked by the Venezuelan gang. She managed to sound an alarm. She was beaten and robbed. She wasn't raped and murdered, thank God. She was able to sound an alarm there at her house, and they ran off. They fled. Women, I'm telling you, the ICE director under Joe Biden just released a report. I think the numbers are a little bit skimpy. He says that out of the 7 million, that's a low number, out of the 7 million that have been released into the country while they await processing, 663,000 are convicted criminals where they come from. 663,000 convicted criminals have been released into the borders of the United States. They walk among us. Of those, 13,000 are convicted for homicide, 15 to 16,000 convicted for rape. There's 1,865 that are awaiting homicide processing, homicide convictions right now, and they walk among us. This is a scary time in our country. There are people who do not process things the way you process them, and we're living in this overblown sense of security in our little American bubble, thinking that someone is always going to take care of you. You think somebody's going to come take care of you? Ask the citizens of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia right now in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. I want you to ask them if they feel like the government is coming to help them. You think they're going to help you with gang violence? Do you realize that in Venezuela that many of the gangs, 18 to 25 years old, actually, a gang member in Venezuela, there in Caracas, a 25-year-old, he's an old man at this point. If he's lived to be 25, then the spirits were with him. And I say that not tongue-in-cheek. The spirits were truly with him. Do you know that they will actually hold religious rituals in which they pray to the spirits of dead gangsters to come advise and empower them? There are 18-year-olds who speak without any hesitation about murder and violent harassment and violent attacks at the age of 18, because at that age, they've done it many, many times. And they actually, with an air and sense of pride, talk about praying to these these dead gangsters so that their spirit will come and inhabit them and guide them. Now these Venezuelans are here in this country. So it's not a happy day in America. It's a dangerous time in America. I want you to stay frosty. I want you to stay strapped. I want you to stay ready. I want you to keep your powder dry. Whatever euphemism I can use to tell you to be prepared, please, dear God, be prepared. Order your labeling machine. I ordered a new labeling machine. People take these things for granted. It's one thing to have all the stuff. You got to know how to find it. I ordered a new labeling machine so that I could put it on different containers and put it on different boxes and know what those things contain, so that in a moment you can grab those things at the necessary time when it's needed. You need to have. Let me just get practical with you guys for a second, just in these last few minutes. Do you have a go bag? Do you have a go bag waiting for you if you need to get the hell out of Dodge really fast? Do you have the right things in the go bag? A little bit of cash, a firearm, some first aid. Head over to refugemedical.com, see what they've got. The ability to sustain yourself if you have to get on the run. Do you sleep at night with your shoes by the bed, or at least by the door, in case a tornado hits or a fire erupts in your home, or there's some kind of natural crisis or disaster, or someone, God forbid, breaks into your home? There's a home invasion. Are you ready to be on the move? Let's say a big window in your bedroom breaks. Are you ready to be able to put your shoes on so that you can get out of there safely without getting injured? Do you have some cash on hand? Do you have a little silver on hand? Do you have the ability to make fire? Do you have the ability to purify water? Are you ready to go? Are you prepared, folks? I want you on a practical level to be ready to go. Do you have a flashlight big enough? I don't mean some little thing that you can walk to the car with. Do you have a flashlight big enough that you can illuminate your entire front yard if necessary? Do you have a Ring camera on your back door, or some kind of camera that you can see who is outside of your home so that you don't have to go outside and investigate yourself? These are the kind of things you need to be ready for. Your Second Amendment rights, I don't have to lecture most of you on those, but be ready, be proficient, be practiced. All of these things are necessary, folks. We're living in a day and age where the slightest thing can turn into a major catastrophe. Let the Lord direct you, man. But there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of resources that you can hone in on and get really pinpoint accurate on the things that you need to do to prepare yourself and take care of yourself. But the most important thing, I want you to pray. And I want you to pray, and I want you to prepare to vote, and I want you to take somebody to the polls with you, because we do not need a radical left progressive Marxist. Even Bernie Sanders has complained that Kamala Harris she doesn't really know what it is that she is. She's not much of an ideologue like Bernie is. She'll run with any dog that'll hunt. Unfortunately, she's found the most success in running with progressive radical Marxist ideologies. Those are just the facts, folks. Those are just the facts. This is the world we're living in. God, please save our country. Hey, in the meantime, go to watchchad.com. While we've got free speech, we're going to use it, and we're going to do it in our venues and our comedy clubs across the country. I am headed out on the road every single weekend, coming to a place that hasn't canceled me yet near you. And I want you to go to watchchad.com, where all the fun stuff is, and find my schedule. I want you to go shopping over at PrayTheRtees.com, the home of the $10 T-shirts. We've got them. You can get them, and various days throughout the week. 100% of the proceeds are going to help flood victims. We're trying to put together a concert that would help with the proceeds going to benefit. It's horrible, folks. You've seen the footage. You've seen what's going on. It is horrible out there. And our prayers and our thoughts are with these people, as well as our efforts to try to help them in these moments. Leave us a 5-star rating. Leave us a review. Follow Scheider Davina on Instagram. SHAIDERDIVINA, Scheider Davina. Oh, Shai's over there. Follow him over on Instagram. He's one of my favorite people, and I want you to follow him. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Do you know I gained 20,000 new Instagram followers almost overnight this past week? Because you know why? We've been smoking them out, baby. I've been putting stuff out there that other people aren't saying. I don't want to be an echo. I want to be a voice, and you help me to elevate that, and I appreciate you once again. So let me end this by saying what I said at the start. I love you, and you've changed my life, but let's change some others' lives as well, and let's get this message out there. I love you. I'll talk to you next time. Check out our sponsors. Don't want to forget those guys. God bless you. Bye.